Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jimmy, and today we'll take a look at all of the settings to change immediately the moment you get yourself the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold6. Now the first settings to change will be inside of your camera. Now when it comes down to the camera, you have your front-facing cameras, the rear-facing cameras, you have photo, you have video, and when you make any changes, they are all stored independently per mode and front or back. What I mean by that is that when it comes down into your photos here, this one is showing the rear-facing cameras. Now if you wanted to go through, you can change it to either a 3x4 or 9x16. Now, if I'm creating a photo or taking a photo with my rear cameras, I usually like to have it as a 9x16, where my front-facing cameras is still at that 3x4. 3x4 is the setup right outside of the box. When it comes down to selfies, this is the mode that I do like to use, but when it comes down to my rear setup, this is where I like to have 9x16, unless if I know that I want to try to cram everything into a scenery and I want to post it on social media, then I can just simply tap up here, put it by 4x3, but I do like 9x16. It just makes everything look more natural the way that it is to my eyes. Then also when it comes down to your video, this is where it'll also change as well. So for videos, I always like to do 9x16 because that is what you are seeing right now. Because I am a YouTuber and I like to watch things with this rectangular type of shape of video, this is where I keep it at 9x16, but you can switch it to a 1x1 or 6x7. So I like to keep it at 9x16 just in case if I shoot something on the Z Fold6 and it goes on YouTube, it'll look just like this video here. And then you also have your quality. So this is where normally I just put it at the Ultra HD 60 frames per second. Maybe when you get your phone, it could be Full HD 30 or it could be Ultra HD 30. I can't remember what it is out of the box, but I switched it over into Ultra HD 60. But you do have the option for 8K at 30 frames per second if you like to have a little bit higher resolution. But for me, I'm going to keep it right here, Ultra HD at 60 frames per second. So now that you have your modes and your cameras kind of all set up between your photo, video, front, and back, now let's go inside of the settings on the top left-hand side. And this is where you can take a look over at Camera Assistant. Now there's a few things that you can add in. So if you remember, I don't have a 2x crop zoom in this camera lens. So if I go right on back here, you can see I have the 1, the 0.6, and the 3x zoom. Now, if you go inside of your settings and then you take a look at your Camera Assistant, this is where you can add in that other option. So this way you have 2x. Now also what you have inside of here, you can turn off your auto lens switching. So if you're not a huge fan of letting the camera pick the best lens based on the zoom, lighting, and distance of the subject, you are able to turn this off. I know a few people like to turn this off because as they are trying to adjust to create the best photo, then it would switch to a different lens and now they have to switch on back. So this is where you are able to turn that off. Now, some of the other things that I do change right up over here will be the camera timeout. When it comes down to the camera timeout, I'll put it right about 2 minutes. And then also too, when it comes down to dim screen while recording, maybe you would like to have the screen dim as it's recording, maybe video. So this way, maybe after a minute, you're not using as much battery life, or maybe after 2 minutes, just to make sure everything is still looking good after the 2 minutes, and then it'll start to dim. So those are a couple of the changes I would do here in Camera Assistant. And as you go on back, now you can see that I've got that 0.6, the 1, 2, and 3. Now going back inside of the settings right up over here, there is a very important one that I always do when it comes down to the videos on Samsung Galaxy devices, and that is underneath this section here. You take a look at videos, you go down here where it says Advanced Video Options. Now out of the box, it's up here at that high efficiency. So it's really able to, prioritize the video quality or the storage, but I always switch it to the H.264 because it's the most compatible. Now, even if you do have that HEVC on the very top, you are able to do these options here, which is the high bitrate videos and the HDR10 plus videos. The issue is that if you try to upload this or put it over to other devices or put it onto some social medias or some backups, you might not have some of those videos actually go over because the file is not supported. The most compatible file for video is the H.264, So I would suggest if you don't want to lose any of your videos and you still want them to look really good, switch it over to the H.264. Now right below that will be this area here underneath general, and I usually like to turn on my grid lines. Now grid lines definitely help out taking your level and even photographs and videos. So this one you are able to turn on, and you don't have to abide by the little green level line. You can still make it artsy and make it unlevel if you want to, but for a lot of the times when you are just trying to take a perfect shot, get all the symmetry inside of there, the grid lines will definitely help out. And then lastly, what I would do inside of here would be underneath the shooting methods. This is where you can go up here and you can press the volume buttons to take a picture or record video. You can also do a zoom in, zoom out if you want it to kind of act like an old camcorder if you would like to. Also too, you do have voice commands. I know some people may not use voice commands, but one thing that a lot of people should use or maybe are using all the time is show palm. So you just want to make sure that your show palm is turned on, because the other day I was taking a selfie with this one being a larger than normal phone, just showing my palm over this right here for the selfie was able to create a much better and easier photo. Now there is one that I did forget when you go back inside your settings. It's right here underneath intelligent optimization. This is where you can have the quality optimization either as maximum or medium. So medium is basically speed up capture time by doing less optimization, but if you want to have the better looking photos, you can have it as maximum. And this is where you can either turn on or off the scene optimizer. So this is where it kind of boosts the colors. You know, if it's dark, it can make it brighter, make the food look more tastier. Landscapes more vivid. If you want it to be a little bit more natural and less boosted, you can turn this off. But if you want things to look really nice, you can turn this one on. So now that you have done all that, maybe there is additional modes you would like to quickly access on the very bottom. This is where you go inside of more. And then with this one, you can actually hit the little plus button. And then this is where you can drag and drop your modes and place them in order of what you would like. So maybe a few of you may love to do Pro or Pro Video. Maybe you're big foodsies and you like to take a lot of photos with food. You can actually just swipe that down. For me, I will take slow motion and move it right there next to video and hit on save. So this way now I'd be able to go inside of slow motion much quicker rather than me having to move over into the more section. All I'd really have to do now is when I'm looking at the screen, I can tap on slow-mo and I'm right there. Now, if you are curious on the slow motion speeds and qualities, you do have full HD at 120 frames per second, 240 frames per second. You also have Ultra HD at 120, which 120 is at 1/4 the speed. The 240 is at 1/8 the speed. So now that we're done with everything for the camera, now let's move over inside of the advanced features, and I'm sure things will go a little bit quicker from here. So inside of your settings, you'll scroll down, you'll see advanced features. Inside of here, you can see things for smart suggestions, Bixby. You also have labs. For labs, you are able to do multi-window for all apps if you would like to turn that one on. And then over here in the main screen here, you also got your multi-window, you have flex mode panel. When it comes down to multi-window, this is where you can have several ways to either go into split screen or pop-up view. These two right here are very fun to play with. So for swipe, for split screen, this one will be a slightly harder when it comes down to a bigger phone, but you use two fingers on the left-hand side to open up your left-hand side over here to open up the second application. The main application will stay over here on the right-hand side. And you also have swipe up for pop-up view. So this is where you can just swipe up. Basically, if you're inside of an application, you swipe from the corner on down and it'll make your application be pop up. Now you do have the top corner area if you want it to be slightly larger of an area for you to bring it down. So if you were playing with it and it's harder for you to pull it down, make that area larger that you're able to pull down. Now, if this is right here too easy and you do this on accidental, reasons, bring it down just a little bit because out of the box, it sits in this spot. Now, going back inside of the advanced features, here is that flex mode panel. So this is where you'd be able to have this one turned on or have it turned off. So what this is that when you are inside of an application, you'll see a little icon on the very bottom left-hand side, and this is where it'll go into flex mode for you. So this way, your app will actually pop up to the very top. Let's say maybe it is your camera sitting on the very top. Then on the bottom is all of your controls, which makes things so much easier when you are trying to, take some photos or some videos and you need to set up your phone. Now, also outside of that one, you do have S Pen. If you are using an S Pen, I'll probably make this one a separate video because, the S Pen doesn't really come with this device. I'm using this from my Galaxy Z Fold 5. For the side button, this is a big one. A lot of times when you try to press and hold on that side key over here, or some people call it your power button, it is using Bixby. So this is where you can switch it for that press and hold to use or open up your power off menu. If you would like to press and hold your side key button now, you'd be able to go inside of reset or power off. Then you still have your double press, and maybe if you hit that button so many times you don't want to have double press turned on, you are able to turn it off. But most of the time when you double press this, it's just to open up your camera really quick. If not, you can actually select this option here, go inside settings, and you can open any application you want to with that side button. Now let's take a look at all of the Galaxy AI features. Now this is a nice area that you can go into to remind yourself of all of the advanced intelligence that's on your phone. So you have call assist, so you get real-time translation during voice calls. So if this is something that you would like to turn on and it would help you out, you'd be able to turn this thing on. You'd be able to have what your language is and what the other language is of somebody else. So this way it'd be able to translate through live for you. Now we'll go right on back. This is where you also have chat assist. This one will definitely help out when you're doing emails and text messages. Now for this one, you have your chat translation. You have Composer, which is really nice for emails. Style and Grammar, if you want it to sound like Shakespeare or something professional. And you also have more Galaxy AI features as well, which just takes you back to this screen. So you also have interpreters. You have live translation of spoken conversations available at voice or text output. So this is where you can do tap to talk, auto record when the mic is on. So you can actually go through all of these independently and individually to see which one of these would actually help you out. You also have note assist, you have transcript assist, browsing assist for the Samsung internet. So it'll be able to take an entire website and summarize it for you. You have photo assist, which will definitely come in handy if you are editing your photos. You also have drawing assist, so if you draw something or sketch something, you can actually just circle it and have it come out to being something similar, but maybe just pop out a little bit more based off of what you have drawn. You also have your photo ambient wallpaper, so this way if it's raining, your wallpaper will actually have raindrops, or if it's snowing, it'll have snow. And then you also have health assist. So now that you've gone through some of the brand new features and you've gone through some of the stuff for your camera, now let's take a look at your phone itself and just make this thing work easier and better for you. Right now, if you take a look at my application tray, everything is just kind of put off everywhere. Some of the screens are not even fully, filled up. You also have everything that is not in alphabetical order. So there's a lot of cleanup and a lot of things that you really need to do here. So what you could do is when you go inside of your application, you swipe up, you go to the very top, and now you can sort them. You can put them in alphabetical order because this was driving me nuts for the last 48 hours until I shot this video. Was not able to find these applications quick enough, so I resorted by going to the top and searching for my apps. So now you can see everything is all in alphabetical order, but there is also maybe a little bit of cleanup that could happen, and this is where you hit on that little cleanup button. So you can either do cleanup first and then sort, or if you hit sort, it'll do it for you. If you remembered, some of these little tabs or windows was not completely full on the very bottom. Some applications were not there. That is what the whole cleanup pages option was. But because I did sort first, it did all of that for me. And then one more thing that I have to do with this application tray, because again, it is also kind of bothering me, is even though all the applications are now here and they are in order, but it is regular applications mixed in with games. So you can actually clean this up and make it look a little bit better by going to your gaming hub. And then with gaming hub, this is where you go right here. You hit on continue, and now all of the games are shown only in the gaming hub. So every game that I have on my phone, which was sitting, in my application tray, is now inside the gaming hub, which makes this one look a little bit easier, nicer. There's even less pages. So that is how you're able to kind of organize your phone and make it look just a little bit better. So all those apps are now in one place, just sitting right here. Now the next settings to change, this one will work for your Google Messages as well as your Gmail. So let's just go inside of Google Messages. Now inside of here, if there is a conversation, or especially in Gmail, there's an email that you want to delete super quick, all you'd really have to do is just give this thing a swipe. But out of the box, both of them are for archive, and I don't really know why they do that. So up over here, you tap on your little person and you go to message settings. So for the messaging settings, what you can see over here is as you scroll on down, this is where you'd be able to see the swipe actions. So for me, I always swipe right, and this is where I would like to have it delete. So I'm going to customize this one, hit delete, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head right on back to my conversations. And now that I'm here, I'd be able to give this thing a swipe, and I am now deleting the message. Exact same thing when it comes down to Gmail. Gmail. You go inside of your Gmail, you go inside of settings for swipe actions. I would probably suggest that, because other than that, you'd have to press and hold on every single conversation independently and then hit delete, and that just takes way too long. The other thing that you can change will be inside of your phone. On the very top right-hand side, you want to go inside of settings, and then what you're able to look for is what happens when you are answering and ending phone calls, and originally, it's always a little swipe. For me, I don't want to swipe to answer, I would rather just tap it. So this is where you can go to tap to answer and end phone calls. Now next up, this is another one that could be bothering you guys as well as it is for me. Again, bothering me crazy for the last 48 hours, and that is the transition windows, the animation scales, things like that, because right now this phone is slow from window to window, application to application, setting screen to setting screen. So all you have to do is go inside of your About phone. Inside of About phone, you go inside of software information, and then this is where you go and you tap on build number 7 times. So now that you have tapped on it 7 times, your developer options have been unlocked. And then as you scroll on down, this is where you'd be able to find all those animation scales, transition scales. There'll be 3 of them in a row, and they're all set at 1x. So for this one, for example, let's say that we just put it at 5x, just to show you what it's doing. As you're going through all these little windows, you're going to have a scale of opening up different screens and applications. And so out of the box, it's sitting at 1. But for me, I see it pop up. It's still too slow. I want my phone to be snappier. So I put all of these ones at 0.5, because sometimes when you do turn them completely off, if there's no animations, you might actually run into a few little issues. The reason, or a little example, is if I press and hold here, you see these little bounces going on. That animation would not happen, and maybe your phone thinks that there's a little bit of a bug or an issue. So I would suggest for those 3 options, just choose the 0.5x. Now the next settings to change will be dealing with everything display. Now normally I start off my videos with display settings, but I wanted to change this up a little bit, put it towards the middle, but there are a lot of things to change. So the first one right here would be the screen layout and zoom. If you're not used to having this menu here and then this sub menu over here, you are able to switch it over into standard view. So you can have it either as multi-view, standard. A lot of people have regular phones, the candy bar phones, and this is the setup that they're used to for their settings. So that is where you're able to change it. Next up will be taskbar. Now this is that little taskbar on the very bottom, and a little tip and trick that some people may not know is what you see right here of these 5 applications on the bottom is what you would see when you open up an application or your settings. And you can see right there, phone, messages, internet, gallery, camera. Now let's say that there is another application that you use way too often, and for me, that one could be YouTube. And let's say that I move it right over here. I'll just put it in between the phone and messages, which that's really not where I would put it, but because there's so much red over here, I just put it there. So then what happens is when you go on the internet, or the YouTube, you can now see that you have all of those applications right there. So you can put several other applications inside of here, and these 2 over here is just your recent applications. So if there is another application you just want to open up, you can simply do that. There is your settings. So you can go through all of these so easy when you are still going through everything right up over here. The other thing you can also do is you can press and hold and you can drag it. And also here you can switch the layout. So if you want it to, have one on the top, one on the bottom, or if you want it to be left and right, however you want it to look, that is what you're able to do. And also too, you just tap on YouTube, boom, there we go. And here we go back over into that little pairing that we had. So there's a lot of things that you can do over here. For this one, you are able to add other applications on the bottom of your home screen, and those will pop up as your little taskbar. And then when it comes down over here, let's say that you switch up your settings, you are able to show what is on the other side of this line, which is your recent applications, and you can show 3. So now you have 3 of your recent applications over here, your other 5 or 6 or 7 applications over there. And the next thing that you might want to get rid of is this little navigation bar. Again, for me, it bothers the heck out of me. It opens up this whole area. It looks so much better, and you can fit more. Now, here's the thing. Maybe you don't want to have, this right here on the very bottom showing up. You can just actually press and hold, and then it makes your applications, a little bit longer. All you have to do to bring it back is press and hold on the bottom, and there it is. It'll pop right back up. Now going back inside of the settings and inside of display, just because I'm not fully completely done, for me, screen timeout is a big one. Out of the box, it's sitting at 30 seconds, but a lot of times you might set it down, walk away, come back, and it timed out. But for me, I always put 2 minutes. It doesn't really hurt my battery that much because more than likely I'll be using it no matter what. It's just the fact that I don't have to use my login credentials or fingerprint, password, whatever, because it's just sitting there ready for me to use again. So I would maybe suggest 2 minutes as a timeout, or you could do 1 minute, but 30 seconds for me is just way too quick. And the next thing here, because you have a flipping or a folding device, continue apps on cover screen. So what happens is that if you are using an application and you close the phone, what will happen is you're basically done. You closed your phone and you are finished with that application. So just to kind of show off, let's say we do it with the clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head right on home, head right on up over here. I'm going to find over where my clock application is. Here is the clock application. What will happen is when I do close it, it'll still continue on the cover screen. And other than that, if I did not do that, it would basically just shut the application, put this into a black screen, and I'm done using the phone. And then again, when you open it up again, you're going to be right back inside of that application. So I can actually open and close as many times as I want to because I have continue on cover screen. Now let's go inside of some of the battery settings. When it comes down over into the battery settings, this is just some of the stuff that you can do to maybe make your phone last a little bit longer or even protect your battery. So battery protection is one that you can definitely do. I like adaptive. What adaptive does is it'll pretty much not charge my phone until basically maybe an hour before I wake up, or maybe 30 minutes before I wake up. So what it does is as I'm going to bed, if you're somebody who charges your phone overnight, as it is charging, it'll go up to 80%. And then once it reaches 80%, it'll stop taking charge. And then it knows pretty much when you wake up. You have an alarm set. It also knows your routine that you always grab your phone at 7 a.m. At maybe 6:30, it'll start charging again from 80 and putting it up to 100% by the time you wake up. So that was battery protection. Now let's talk about power saving. So I never really put my phone manually into power saving mode unless if I really truly have to. But what I do turn on is up over here on the right hand side, the adaptive power saving. I turn this on because it's able to turn it on or off automatically based on my usage patterns. So if it knows that for a little while, maybe between let's say like 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. I don't really use it as much, it can actually put it into adaptive power saving mode or turn on power saving mode for me because maybe during that time, I'm not really using the phone. Now, some of the other stuff you can take a look at down here is your charging settings. So this is talking about your fast charging, your fast wireless charging, and then also your wireless power share. You can turn this on and you can make changes based on your battery limit if you want it to stop charging the other device when your phone, gets down to 30%. And I guess since we're here, if you want to take a look at my battery life so far, here's what I've done for today. I didn't have my adaptive or my protective battery on, so it went all the way up to 100% and it stayed there. And this is pretty much where I am right now. I stopped charging 13 hours ago. And for the stopping 13 hours ago, my screen on time was for 5 hours and 18 minutes. Screen off was for 10 hours and 27 minutes. If we go back, we just take a look at from the last charged. In this screen here from last charge, the screen on time was for 4 hours and 44 minutes. Screen off time was for 8 hours and 50 minutes. So I used 59% in 13 hours. So I still have, quite a bit left. I'm sitting at 41% and it's 8:30 at night. So now that we talked about battery, how about we now take a look at device care? So device care will do just a few additional things. You can also optimize now if you would like to. Top right hand side, you can take a look at settings of device care. You can even show device care inside of your app's screen if you don't want to go through all of your settings. This is where you can go down here for your performance optimization. And for this one, you can either have it as light or standard. On my S24 Ultra, I kept it as light ever since I took it out of the box, and it did a really good job. It prioritizes my battery life and cooling efficiency over the processing speed. Currently, I want to test this battery, so I'm going to have it as standard, which is just right out of the box. And auto optimization, definitely do this. This one's very important because you do have to restart your phone at some point. So you can either restart it when needed, or you can restart it on a schedule. Normally mine is on a schedule Sunday and Wednesday, so basically, or you can do Sunday and Thursday. So pretty much this way at 3 a.m. Sunday and Thursday, it'll restart your phone at 3 a.m., which you can actually change that if you want to, if you tap there. but it is very important to restart your phone at least once a week. Some people might not even restart or turn off their phone ever, or go several months without doing it, and then they run into bugs and issues. Now, the next setting to change will be the sound of your device. So out of the box, it's just kind of okay. It's a little just kind of too level for me. You can go inside of your sounds and vibrations, and inside of sounds and vibrations, you go to sound quality and effects, and this is where you can turn on or off Dolby Atmos. I definitely suggest turning it on, and you can keep it as auto if you want to. Or, if you watch way too many movies, you can actually just move it over into movie. If you only listen to music, you can switch it over into music, but auto does a really good job. Equalizer out of the box is smooth. Now, balanced is what it used to be out of the box. Smooth is something that's kind of new, but this is where I normally either do bass boost or dynamic. Dynamic really brings in all the highs, the lows, and some of the bass as well. So the bass boost is going to be right up over here, these two little lines. Dynamic will also bring up some of those highs and such. So I do like the fact that dynamic sounds so much better than what you have with smooth. Basically, it's kind of boosting everything that smooth already is and just giving it a little bit more sound. And a couple other things in this screen that I don't know if it's new or if it's been there, but at least I haven't seen it. Maybe this is new in 6.1.1, but you also have boost dialogue. So you can make it easier to hear voices in videos that have other background music. So I'm going to turn that on. And you also have loudness normalization. So prevent sound from suddenly becoming too loud or too quiet while playing media. So if you're watching some media or some shorts and you have those videos that go really loud out of the blue, this right here will hopefully kind of normalize it and you don't get that crazy effect. Now for the security and biometrics. So you went through your phone and maybe you did not use or put in your lock screen code or fingerprint. This is where you'd be able to do it now. So this is where you go to security and privacy. So for this one, I don't even have a lock screen on this thing yet. So you do want to put on your lock screen first, then you are able to do your fingerprints. And also your face recognition. So for this one, you can either use your swipe, pattern, password, PIN. Swipe is no security at all. Pattern is okay. Password is the best. Normally, I like to use PIN, and you can either do 4 or more digits. Now, once you put in your PIN, this is where you'd be able to do your lock screen notifications. So you can have some of your content show, you can have them hidden so it only shows the icon. For show content, you can actually go through and you can select which ones you want to show. So if someone sends you a text message, at least it's not showing on the lock screen. But, I don't mind it. I'll let it show up. This is where you can now put in your fingerprints. So this is where you put in your PIN. And your fingerprint reader will be on your side key button. So this is where you just want to go through, place your finger on the sensor, and then you also want to lift it. So you want to put it in different areas. So as you're holding on to it, kind of move your thumb around, do the tips, do the edges, flip it around. Now for the fingerprint always on, this one's going to be pretty important. So if you're looking at your cover screen, that means that it's always on when you're in cover screen mode, or it's always on the main screen. So maybe you open it up first and then you put your thumbprint there. But then if you already open it up, then you already turned your phone on. So what's the difference between these two here? So cover and main screens, meaning that it's always on waiting for your thumbprint to be there for it to unlock. If you have the off option, what this means is that means that you probably hit the button first, you turned your phone kind of on, you awakened it, now it's waiting for your fingerprint to get there. If you always want it to be on, even if your screen is on or off, then you can have this option here for cover and main screens. Now next up would be your palette and wallpaper. So this right here has the number 6 inside of there because it is the Z Fold6. This is where you can actually go through and you can change your wallpapers and your color palette to match the wallpaper. So because I have some whites and some blacks, that is why this top up here is matching my wallpaper. This is where you can go through and you can actually change it. So when you're changing it up over here, you do have some of the folding options. These are some of the ones that you can do with AI. So you have generative, you also have photo ambient. Here's your graphical ones. Here's your dynamic lock screen, which is where I usually used to always get all of my wallpapers. So for this one, we'll just do generative. And with generative, this is where you input words to make something, look good. You have terrain. You also have translucent. You have night. So all of these ones up here are the exact same ones down over here. So if you want to make it a little bit quicker and easier to do, you can actually just do mineral. And with this one, this is where you can change what type of mineral it is. So if you want to have some greens inside of there, you can make the hues a little bit, or the cool hues, or neon hues, metallic, vibrant, pastel. So I'm going to go with vibrant. And then this right here is using generative AI. It's cloud-based, and it's able to create a wallpaper based off of what you have chosen. And then through here, you can just choose which one you think looks the best. And once you find one that you think is the best, you hit on set. And now this one will be set as your lock screen or home screen, wherever you want it to go. So I think for this one, I might just do the home screen, and then you can hit on next. And then this is where you can, again, take a look at how they would look with the whole main screen. If that's your favorite one, you can hit on done and hit on OK. So now that you set your wallpaper, now you can go to color palette. You can get this thing turned on, and now you can actually change up some of these colors. And as you change it up, you can look on the very top on what it's actually doing to your phone. So as you scroll through, you can see what colors are coming in. So these ones are all of the different colors kind of mixed in based off of it, or you can just do basic. So if you want it to look very basic, you can choose a single color or a dual color, and then you can just basically hit on apply. So for wallpaper colors, for this one, I think everything looks great. Hit on apply, and now it has changed the look of my phone. So now when I pull down my little settings on the very top, you can see that it made the change there. If I open up my phone, it made the change here. Same thing with my calculator as well. So now that we kind of talked a little bit about the quick settings on the very top, now let's take a look at these icons. So first off, you have this screen here that basically shows off 6 of the quick settings, and then you have all of them sitting there. And this is where that little edit button will come into play. So here's the top. This is where you can actually change these. So, for me, I don't really care about the whole auto rotate just because it's going to be doing it already for me. But extra dim is something that I use all the time. So this is where I can add it in there, and I can also press and hold, and I can change it where I want it to go. So this does actually make a lot of sense for me. Again, if you're somebody who doesn't like to fly too much, you can actually turn this off, and then you can add in something else. Now, the next up will be your full screen when you pulled it down. And this is where you can move a few of these. So Wi-Fi calling I can take off, Dex I can take off. It's a cool feature, but I really don't use it. Link to Windows, I can take that one off as well. And as you see more kind of pop up, that is where you can either move those around, and then you can bring some of these up to the very top. So you have NFC, you also have live caption, live transcribe, sound notifications. So I guess what I could do is I can move this one right up over there. You also have kids mode that's sitting there, battery protection, secure folder. You also have Dolby Atmos, to do quick add. So what you'd be able to do is you can move some of these up over into your quick settings. All you got to do is just search for the ones you would like to move on up. So take screenshot might be a very nice one, but it did take away my sound notifications. I'm going to bring this one right back over there. And now this is all sitting the way I want it to sit. And you hit on done. And now lastly, this little line on the very bottom, this one used to be a little bit longer, and that was because it was a quick access to your Samsung wallet. And that was on the main screen and the cover screen. I already turned it off. But how you're able to turn it off is if you swipe up, you head inside of your Samsung wallet, you head over into all. And inside of all, you go to the very top right-hand side and you hit on settings. So now you're inside of the settings of your Samsung wallet, and you have the option here for quick access. Now, this is where you can turn this one on, you can turn it off, you can have it on different screens. Like normally out of the box, I think it was on both of these here. It was on the lock screen and my home screen. And it was, on the home screen only, or it could be on every single home screen. And this is your Samsung Wallet little line. Now, for me, because I normally just have this application on a page to the right, this is where I turn it off because I don't really need to have that quick access to get into my Samsung wallet. But that is where you can find it. Some people asked about it. Normally where it would be sitting is this screen here. I just wasn't able to get it there just yet. So I'm gonna press and hold, place it there, and boom. Now, if I wanted to, for me, do my quick access, I swipe over and I tap on Samsung Wallet, and there we go, and I'm inside. So I don't need to have that little quick access bar on the bottom on any of my home screens. So that is everything to change the moment you get yourself the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6. Hopefully this has helped you out. Maybe you have learned a few things. You can also do all of this, with any other Samsung phone as well. Normally, I also move that little widget up there on the very top. And then this one right here, I also make it a little bit smaller, and I also change the color. But that could be for another more in-depth video in the future. But hopefully you guys appreciated this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe on the very bottom left-hand side. And if you like this video, then more than likely you'll also like this video. And I'll see you guys later.